Right, so if you looked at the perimeter notes yesterday in the book and in my PowerPoint, you would have seen that the perimeter of a closed figure is the distance around the boundary. So I'm just going to quickly look over this here so that if you had a chance, or if you didn't have a chance, at least you can look at it together. So we have this thing which is called a polygon. And a polygon is a close-ended shape. So for example, if I have something like so, you can see that all the sides of this shape do not cross each other, and then all of them are connected to create one closed shape. So this is what we call a polygon, all right? And you can have as many sides as you want. So when you're trying to add up the lengths of a polygon, you just need to find all the distance measures, right? Add them up, and that's how we get the perimeter. So for example, in 1a, you should add 6 plus 8 plus 9, and when you do that, you'll get a total of 23 centimeters. So you just write P is equal to 23 centimeters, okay? Now looking at the other one, if you see these little bars here ever on a shape, it means that the sides are the same. So this side has a 5 centimeter and has a little bar. So that means that this here and this here is also 5 centimeters. So keep an eye on that when you're looking at shapes in the future for area, perimeter, whatever we're looking at. So here I have 5 plus 5 plus 5, so my perimeter is equal to 15. And I assigned this question here. I'm just going to work on it together so you can see how it goes, see if you've done it correctly. If we look at it, it says a farmer fences a 400 meter by 350 meter rectangular field with a 4-strand wire fence. So look, 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's 4 strands. Okay, a fence has 4 strands of wire going across. And I'll draw what they kind of want to say. They want to say that we have a, let's see, 400. Let's imagine this side is 400 and this side here is 350 meters. So it's like a field, and if we're looking from the sky, we can see the top of the fence. Now, of course, if we look from the side, you can see that there are, let's see, 1 strand and then the other 4 strands. So whatever we do, we need to find the perimeter of 1 strand, and once we have the perimeter of 1 strand of this wire, we can just times it by 4 to get the rest of it, okay? So let's take a look at that. We have, in this case, it asks us to find the perimeter of the field. So it just wants to know what's the length around this total field. Well, that's easy. So this is part A. Our perimeter is equal to, well, 400 plus 400 plus 350 plus 350. So that's what we have for our perimeter. So that's easy. So if we add those up, we're going to get, let's see, 800 plus 700, we're going to get 1500 meters if you use your calculator. Okay, so the perimeter for part A is 1500 meters. Now for part B, it says the total length of wire required. So 1 strand to go around is 1500, but look how many we have. We have 4 that goes around the whole fence. Okay, so if that's the case for part B, all we need to do is take our perimeter that we have. So let's say I call this L, meaning length, total length. It's going to be 1500 times by 4, because we have 4 of these rows of wire that's going to go around the whole perimeter. If this is the case, if we multiply those together, you should get 6,000 meters. All right. Now on the last piece, it asks us how much the total cost is. So if we look at this, what we have is, it says it's $38.20 for 100 meters, but we have 6,000 meters. So if we want to figure out how much it is per 100 meters, we're going to have to divide the 6,000 and see how many pieces of 100 is in there. So if I drew a giant length of, say, 6,000, just to figure out how to show this, draw a line. So imagine this is 6,000. Well, we're going to cut it into 100 pieces, 100 meter pieces. And once we know how many there are, then we can multiply it by 3820. So if you want to divide a 6,000 meter piece of wire into 100 meters each, you just have to go 6,000 divided by 100. Or you can write it like 6,000 over 100. And if you do that, you're going to find that you get 60 pieces of 100 meters. So 100 plus 100 plus 100 plus 100. If we do that 60 times, we're going to get 6,000 meters. Now from there, if we know that there's 60 100-meter pieces and each is $38.20 per 100 meter, well, it's going to be 60 times this $38.20. So if we do that and we use our calculator here, we can figure out how much the row is. So 38.2 times by 60, and that gives us $2,292. $2,292. So that's how much it cost. So I'm going to say C as in cost to fence this total amount. So you need 6,000 meters, and if you pay per 100 meters $38.20, then this will be your final amount. Okay. So for this one's circle in the answers or square in the answers, that's a square for part C, part B, and then part A. So there's our answers. Okay. So let's look at the next piece, which I want you to work on today. So if I minimize this here, we're going to do circles, all right? And some quick review of circles if you forget, or if you have trouble with the English. We have a circle here, and we have, of course, the center of the circle. Now, if we draw a line from the center of the circle to the outside of the circle, this is called a radius, okay? So, for example, if I have a circle like so, and then I take my measuring device and I find out that from here all the way to there is, I don't know, let's say it's 3 centimeters, then the radius in this circle is 3 centimeters, okay? Now, if you draw a line that goes across the circle through the center, that is called the diameter. So if I were to extend this line from the center to the other side, we would have the diameter of the circle. And here I said the radius r is equal to 3 centimeters. And the diameter in this case is 6 because it's double the radius. Okay, so the diameter is always double the radius. And the other term we're going to use a lot in this section is circumference. So when we have a circle and we want to find the perimeter of a circle, we don't say it's the perimeter of the circle. We use this word called circumference. So this here is the same thing as perimeter, but we decide we give it a special name for circles, okay? So just think that's what they're asking you. Now, if we look at this circle and we want to try and measure the outside with a ruler, you would imagine that it's not so easy. So if we have a square, we can take a ruler and measure each side. It's very easy. But if you try to rotate the ruler around a circle, it's very difficult, you would probably think. So one way we could do it if we wanted to actually measure it is we could cut this circle right here. Oops. We could cut this circle at this spot here, and then if it unrolls, it would unroll into a straight line. So if we took this here and we put this side down here and this side down here, we would end up getting one side over here, one side over here, and a straight line. But of course we can't cut open circles. So because of that, we have to measure it using a formula. So how do we measure circumference? Well, we have this formula, which is circumference is equal to 2 pi r, or circumference is equal to pi times d. Now, let's just take a look at what this radius is. If I were to draw a circle and create a line through the circle here, we could take this radius, the measurement, and we could try and lay this radius around the circle. And when you do that, you'll find out for any circle that if you take the measurement of the circumference, the total length of the circumference, so circumference, sorry, my pen is a little bit crazy, circumference, okay, and we divide the length of the radius, you get this value called pi. All right, that's how they get pi. So if we could measure this, say we have the measurement of this circle, whatever we created, and then if for the same circle we divide it by the length of the radius, you will get this value, which is 3.14159. And it doesn't matter, and it keeps on going forever, and it doesn't matter how big your circle is, it's always going to be like this, okay? So because we have that, we're going to use this value, and we're going to use that in our formulas. Now, we have two different formulas, one where it's 2 pi r, and if I rearrange this, we have 2 times r times pi. Oops, let me try this again. 2 times pi times 2 times r times pi. But we already know that twice the radius here is our diameter, isn't it? So that's why we have another formula, which instead of writing 2r, we can write d times pi. And so depending on what the question is, we can use one formula or the other formula. So 2 times the radius is the diameter. So these two formulas are the same thing. One just uses the radius, one just uses the diameter. So for in this question A, right, they want to find the circumference of a circle with one of these formulas, and they gave us the diameter. So it's easiest if we use the formula with the diameter, which is d times pi, which is equal to 20 times 3.14 in this case, okay? So if we do that, we should get a value of 62.8. In the second part of the question, they give us the radius, so we want to use the formula with the radius, which is the green one here. So in this case, we have c is equal to 2 times our radius, 3.6, times our pi value here. Okay, and now notice they say use pi is equal to 3.14. So if you use the value straight of 3.14, you should get the same answer in the back of the book. So if I do that, I get 22.6 centimeters. All right, so depending on what they ask you in the book, you might have to use one or the other. Now, I put some questions online, and if you look, you see that sometimes the diameter and sometimes the radius. So you have to use one or the other formulas, okay? So remember, you have both types of different formulas. It even shows here in the book, if you look, pi d and 2 pi r. So if you need some help, they're there. So look on École Direct, and you should be able to find the work that I want you to do today, which is mainly the simple ideas. Now, some of the word problems are a little bit tougher, so work together if you have to try and figure out these ones. I assigned a few harder ones that has a star, 2 stars in it, okay? So please do that for today. Afterwards, I want you to take the photo of your work. If you haven't finished the perimeter, please finish the perimeter and take a photo of your work. Then move on to circumference, and please put this on Shobi as well. I'm going to put a special spot. I'll even do it now so that you can see. So if we go to Shobi, I sign in. So if you go into grade 10 here, I'm going to create a folder called measurement. So go into that folder, and I'm going to create an assignment for you to put your perimeter homework in. So take your picture so I can see that you're working on this. And then I'm going to take one for your circumference homework. So if you need help, please just send a message on Outlook, and then I can help you out. I'll be around here. I feel not great, but I'm going to try and stay awake and see if anyone sends me any messages. All right, so please do that for the class and send me any messages if you're having any troubles.